Younger and I played soccer, one of the dads of my teammates was a police officer. And one of the things that he taught us girls that always stuck out in my mind was never, ever, ever be alone somewhere with a police officer. When I played, in that league with his daughter, we were like 14 or 15. So we were about to start driving soon. And he would just sometimes randomly impart dad wisdom upon us girls and self-defense stuff because he was a police officer. He saw things. He knows how men operate and he knows what happens to women in particular. And so he would tell us random, safety tidbits. But that tidbit always stuck out to me because he said, never be alone with a police officer. If you are driving at night and there's nobody around and a police officer is trying to pull you over, don't pull over. Turn your hazards on, call 911, identify yourself, say where you are, and tell them that you are going to go somewhere where there are other people around. And then you will pull over. I remember him, he repeated that multiple times, and the man looked stressed. When he was telling us, he looked stressed. And he said, never, ever be anywhere with a police officer. He also said, if an officer does not immediately identify themselves as an officer, or if they refuse to give a badge number, you're in danger. He said, as soon as you are pulled over, or if an officer is detaining you or grabbing at you, you have to ask them to identify themselves immediately and ask them for a badge number. Also, body cams weren't super common at that time, but his department had body cams, and he showed us where they're typically located on their body. And he said, if the officer is covering them or trying to obscure the body cam in some way, you are in danger. Try and get where other people are, where other people can see you. And the reason I'm talking about this is because ICE is kidnapping people. And they're not identifying themselves, or they're identifying themselves after 5 or 6 people have appeared from nowhere in plain clothes with their faces covered. Literally, the one young lady, they just took her bag off of her. She could have been being robbed. She didn't know. And they weren't telling her. And if you are in the heat of the moment, and if you are in fight or flight because a strange man with his face covered is grabbing your wrists, you are not going to stop and think, oh, I better look to see if he has a chain with a little badge swinging around on his neck. You're thinking, there's a man grabbing me. I got to get the fuck out of here. And I think it speaks volumes that a police officer 20 plus years ago told me, never be alone with a police officer, and a police officer who refuses to appropriately identify themselves, they are a danger to you. I think that very much rings true now. And I think that we're going to see, the literal kidnappings that ICE is doing is illegal. That's crime against women and minority women. But I think we're going to see a lot of weirdos also now pretending to be police officers and grabbing women, because it's the perfect recipe. All you have to do, if actual officers of the law are not appropriately identifying themselves and grabbing people and stealing them and disappearing people, anybody can do it. Because if you don't have to appropriately identify yourself, then it's open fucking season. Any Tom, Dick, and Harry they could even buy a fake badge. They don't even need a fake uniform. They don't even need to present themselves as law enforcement in any capacity. All they have to do is say, well, I'm ICE. That one fucking inbred hillbilly in Florida or Georgia or whatever did it. He rode up on a truck full of Hispanic gentlemen and was like, I'm ICE. I'm going to deport you. And he was just some random dumbass. We're gonna see this a lot more. And for the record, you are allowed to ask them to identify themselves. They have to identify themselves. They cannot roll up on you. Well, they have been, because they're breaking the law and they're acting as the new Gestapo. But you cannot, as a law enforcement officer, not identify yourself in any capacity and literally grab someone and shove them in a car. That should not be happening. Just in case nobody told you that. And again, an officer of the law who worked as an officer of the law by that point, at least 25 years, knew then any officer that refuses to appropriately identify themselves is a danger.
Surveillance video shows a graduate student at Tufts University near Boston being taken into custody by federal agents, according to the student's attorney. Rumeysa Ozturk, a Turkish national, was arrested near her apartment close to the university's Somerville campus.
Where the police? Where the police?
Yeah, you don't look like it. Why are you hiding your faces? Why are you hiding your faces?
1 minute after the encounter began, Ozturk was walked to an SUV and driven away. ICE did not respond to CNN's request for information on Ozturk's case. A spokesperson for the State Department declined to comment on the specifics of the case, quote, due to privacy and other considerations and visa confidentiality. Ozturk is a PhD student currently in the U.S. on a valid F-1 visa, which allows international students to pursue full-time academic studies, her attorney said. She co-wrote an op-ed in the school's newspaper in March 2024, criticizing Tufts' response to the pro-Palestinian movement. Ozturk's attorney told CNN no charges have been filed against her client. It is unclear why Ozturk was taken into custody. After she was detained, Ozturk's attorney filed a petition in federal district court in Boston, challenging the legality of her detention and requesting that she is not moved out of the district in Massachusetts. On March 26th, her attorney said she received word that Ozturk was transferred to an ICE detention facility in Louisiana.